Welcome back to Rundlii Gaming. So the next thing we're going to be going over is another Magic the Gathering deck. Again, these are fairly casual. This one's a little bit faster and probably slightly higher than a few of the costs of my other previous decks. Most of the costs actually sticking with like the Archdruids, which I think go for about $2 or $3 a piece, and then outside of that, the Priest of Titania, which I think is another 3 or 4, and the Well-Wishers, I believe, are also a couple dollars. And I'm going to go over what pretty much this entire deck and why it's designed the way it is. So let's go ahead and start. Now, probably not a very, very ideal hand, and you'll actually see kind of a random creature in here that probably doesn't look like it belongs. This is actually meant to, more so as a joke creature, and unfortunately this one's going to be kind of a slow hand, so probably won't keep this one. So it's going to take a mulligan, and then we'll draw back up to 7. Alright, so this is decent, though not particularly good at either. So on the turn 1, like in this case, we're going to want to try to ramp up as quickly as possible. So the first turn, let's go ahead and drop this and the Findenor. So the next turn, we'll untap and draw a card. And luckily we drew Priest of Titania, otherwise we were going to have a very, very slow round. So turn 2 is going to be a Priest. Basically, she taps for the number of elves in play. That also counts your opponent if you are playing against another elf deck. And one tap and draw a card. So at this point, the main goal is to try to get as many elves as possible to try and get ramped into a few things. Because right now we're on turn 3. So we'll go ahead and drop our Landalar off of that. And sadly, I think we're almost better off with the Seeker of Skybreak, because basically they'll be able to untap Priest of Titania next round. So we'll tap 3 mana off of this and 1 mana off this, so that'll be 4 total. Because these guys are able to untap target creature. So basically it's going to almost be as if they have another 2 Priest Titanias out. So this was the end of turn 3. And that's another forest, which isn't bad. It just gives us an additional mana here. So 1, 2, 3. So we'll drop the Archdruid. Since they have Summoning Sickness, we'll just throw them on top. At this point, the 2 cards I use for card draw, because the big thing in elf decks is that you're going to need card draw. If you don't have card draw, you're simply not going to. You're just going to run out of hand and not be able to do much. So the first thing we'll probably end up doing is probably use the Weird Harvest first. So when I tap her, I'll get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. 7 mana because I'll tap him for his mana as well. And then tap for another 6, so 13 mana. And pretty much how this goes is each player searches his or her library for up to X creature cards. We tap 13 mana. We're probably just going to go with, let's just say 10 for now. So we can each search for up to 10 creatures, which will give me 1 mana left over afterward. And then from here, let's go ahead and get our Quirion Rangers. We're going to need at least 2. We get a Sire of Insanity. So, 3rd creature. 4th creature. 5th creature. 6 creatures. 7 creatures. 8. 9, and we'll just grab a Landalar. 10. And we did have 1 mana left over, So let's go ahead and drop Quirion. Alright, so at this point, basically I'm throwing all the creatures with Summoning Sickness at the top. I'm going to use this to untap Priest again. This time she's going to tap for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. And with this creature, whenever I play a elf spell, I can put a 1/1 green elf into play. I don't actually get it for this one, but we'll probably end up needing... Yeah, I tapped her for that there. But yeah, we have 3 more mana. Let's go ahead and make our token real quick. So, elf. Alright, so we have 3 mana left, so let's go ahead and drop 1 mana. We'll add a token because right now we have one of those. And then we have 2 mana left. And then Visionary lets us draw a card, which is another force which we don't actually need. This will get increased again. And a good thing about Quirion is the fact that it's not actually a tap ability. Basically, I return a force that I control to the owner's hand. Untapped target creature uses this ability only once per turn. So we're going to bounce a force back to my hand to untap that. And I'll go ahead and move that over there, simply because that way I know that I've used it. At this point, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 creatures, so we have 12 mana. This will bring us down to 11. This will bring us down to 9, 7, and I put out 2 Visionaries, so I draw 2 cards. Six. Four. I did tap her already. And I may just drop her down. You'll just throw more tokens into play. So I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more tokens. So I'll be at 7. And then I have 1 more Quirion Ranger, because I used 1 here, so I have 1 left over here. I'm going to bounce my other force to my hand, and untap my creature again. This time I'm going to use 1, 2, 3, 4... 1, 2, 3, plus 7 is 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 mana on this one. And that'll increase it by 2, since I have 2 of those creatures that lay tokens out now. And... yeah, I think I said 23, so I think I was down to 21. And then with the Elvish Visionary, I draw another card. And then from there, I'm going to use 6 mana to draw a card for each creature I control. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. So we're going to draw 26 cards. And as you can see, it definitely did let us draw through quite a bit of stuff really quickly. We obviously do not want to draw anymore, because that would probably get us killed, so I spent 2 on the 23, and then 6 on the 23, so I'll be at 15 mana. So 14, 13, 11, 9, 8, 5, 3, 1, and I have one query, so I'll drop that. Alright, so we made it this far so far. The next thing we're going to do is do the birch lore. Also, we have the drop tokens down. Since we have two of the guys that give us tokens, we're going to get 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So 18, so we'll be at 27 of these tokens. Now what the birch lore actually does is that tap 2 untapped elves that I control, add 1 mana of any color to my mana pool. So we'll tap these 27 since they all have Summoning Sickness right now, and this one. So between these two it's 28 creatures, so we're going to get 14 mana out of it. We're going to drop 4 mana, so every time we land another elf, we will get 2 more token, well, another token. We'll drop another one of those. So 4, 8, so we're down to 6 mana. 5 mana. 4 mana. 2 mana. And 0 mana. Otherwise, we're going to need 4 more mana. 5, 6 mana. So we need to tap 12 creatures next, but we also got... because we have all 4 of them out at this point, so 4, 8, 12, 16. We only get 3 on that, so 19. We only get 2 on that, so we get 21 more tokens. So, elf token. And pretty much at this point, yep, so let's go ahead and tap that. So we're going to get 10 mana, 11 mana of any color we need. So 3, 4, 5, 6. And we need to tap 2 more creatures for that, so we'll just get those 2. Now the point of why I actually threw Sire of Insanity in here is the Weird Harvest, if you remember, was that one. Each player may search his or her library for up to X creature cards. We did 10 earlier, so at that point, everyone searched their library for up to 10 creatures of their choice. The Sire of Insanity, however, is at the beginning of each end step, each player discards his or her hand. So if they don't have an instant speed answer for what you just laid out on turn 4, he's going to make you discard it, whatever you may have drawn. Because sometimes I could Weird Harvest for, say, 20 creatures. They grab all these really wonderful, awesome creatures that they can find, and then in turn I make them discard their hand, and then they lose everything. Again, it's just more of a... To me, it was more of a humorous design for it. With this particular deck, you can essentially drop any creature that you feel that you want to play with into this deck. You could drop an Avacyn in here and you can cast her just fine regardless, because of the birch lores, which was over, yep, that guy. So you tap 2 untapped elves you control, you add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So it could be 3 black mana and whatever. You could tap for 15 mana with Emrakul, which is usually, I think, the legacy way of playing it, to get an extra turn. Because one thing you have to consider as well is that, let's say if I did not drop Sire of Insanity and I dropped, say, an Emrakul, I would get an extra turn after this, which would in turn probably kill everybody. I could be playing a 6-player game and probably just devastate every single person on the other side of the board. Because at this point I have 48 tokens, and that's not including the creatures I already have on the board, but 48 tokens, and several Archdruids. The Archdruids give +1/+1 to each of my other elves. In fact, it'd probably be easier if I looked in my library to see how many I'm missing. So I have one Archdruid in here. So right now I have 3 Archdruids on the board, which means that all of my creatures are a minimum of a 4/4 right now. So that being said, this is going to be quite a bit of damage, because if I run through with the 48 of them, we'll round it up to 50 because I have at least 2 other creatures. I'm going to be doing at least 200 damage, and this is all by turn 4, so it's a very, very, very fast deck. Again, it's just another concept. Pretty much this entire deck is built around, I would say, about 56 cards, and then you can pretty much use the other 4 cards for whatever you want. Because if you take too many other things out, you're probably going to hurt your deck more than help it. But let's say if you drop 4 Emeralds in here, that would give you a very good chance of pulling it. But since I run Weird Harvest, I can find whatever creature I want and then just pull it to my hand that way. So worst case scenario, I can always put in, say, 2 more Weird Harvest. The only downside is if they search my library and make me remove a card from the game or something, then I guess there's that possibility as well. But all in all, this is my actual elf deck. And as you can see, it's brutally powerful and kind of quick. But most elves are usually pretty quick depending on how you have it built. It is susceptible, though, to being blown up if they hit you by turn 3, like if they Pyroclasm you. Though sometimes you can recover off of it, depending on what you draw. The main thing is you'll need Collective Unconsciousness, which basically allows you to draw equal to the number of creatures you have in play. If they just blew up the entire board, though, you're only going to draw a few, but usually that can kind of get you going again pretty quickly. So I do hope you enjoyed watching the video, and thank you for watching Rundlii Gaming.